Howdy, Marcus C. Williams here. How are you guys this evening? In Rochester, it's a nice, snowy, sleety, rainy mess outside. Stay safe, stay inside, don't drive if you don't have to. So, let's start off here. This evening, I went to my local Republican nominating convention, and we did that, and that was awesome. We got some great candidates for our county this year, and I'm really thankful for that. Here's the deal, though. Somebody brought up in a speech, they said, hey, some people in the establishment don't necessarily espouse I guess you would say, the ideal, right? Doesn't make them bad, but they don't espouse the ideal values that we'd prefer. And if you can hear me, let me know. If you can't, let me know. Okay. Because the other day I did a whole thing and didn't have any audio. But that made me think and ask a couple questions, What is it that is the actual issue with values, right? Like, a lot of people believe that there are not enough there is not, let me say it like this. A lot of people believe that there's not enough focus on conservative values right now in the Republican Party as a whole. This isn't just a local thing, right? You hear people talk about rhinos, and you hear people talk about values, and you hear people that aren't Republicans or aren't conservatives, like Democrats and liberals, say, oh, well, these are the Republican values. These are conservative values. Oh, abortion and being against stopping abortion is a conservative value. First of all, that's not a value. Okay. That's not a value. Is that something that some conservatives feel some type of way about? I mean, of course. Is that a value? Does every conservative share that specific thought process? No. They say, oh, well, conservatives and Republicans don't like black people. Never seen that. Never seen that. Never experienced it. Never felt that way. Whenever I'm in a conservative area, I feel really good. Very positive vibes and all of that. So it made me wonder, I've always had conservative values. I grew up in the church. But it made me wonder, what specifically do people outside of the Republican Party get their thought of what, or conceptualization of what conservative values are, right? Because we have a conservative party and we have a Republican Party also. So the conservative party, Lord forbid, they didn't uphold all of the values of the conservative value set all the time. I do know that some people that are in the conservative party in New York State and across the nation are not always happy with management all the time, but not being happy with the establishment is honestly a commonality between all parties. It's not something that one specific party has a hold on, right? Like, most of the Democrats don't have any just don't like the people in the establishment in the Democratic Party for many Democrats, but they just won't speak up and say anything. And many Republicans won't speak up and say anything, but we're seeing more and more Republicans get more vocal, especially the people on the ground, like the everyday common registered person, because values are important and values matter. So let's talk about what some values are that are conservative values. Because the fact of the matter is that people don't know what the Republicans' values are, and they don't really know what conservative values are. So when they see the news, or they see the media, or they hear it from a friend, they believe it. So they believe stuff that's completely far-fetched and not conservative at all. And conservatism isn't owned solely by the Republican Party. You know, like we've got a conservative party here in New York State. I know people that would be more liberal that would be considered possibly Democrats that are in the conservative party. I know tons of Democrats that have conservative values that are conservative, but still somehow stay in the Democratic Party. Now, me, myself, I was in the Democratic Party because that's the party that my family has been, because I'm Black, I'm a Northerner, I'm young, you know, most likely in my age bracket, I'd be a Democrat, you know, but I grew up in the church, so that's where I got my values. So values like family, freedom, individual liberties, all of these are biblical based values and principles, you know. So that's something that needs to be looked at. But it's not just, and this is a very important thing to note, these are not just biblical values. These are values that are put out there by Islam. They're a very conservative religion. These are values that are put out there in many religions. I could go through a whole list of names of religions that it's valued in. I mean, you look at Judaism, right? Like all of that is conservative. Judaism is more conservative than the most conservative Christian could be. Except now they've got some people that are calling themselves Jewish that don't even hold up Jewish values that are traditional, which is a whole nother warped thing, right? So I'm a conservative futurist. So I understand that some of our more traditional values and stuff need to change and be moderated to move forward. But conservatives, futurists don't have a party. So my values more so align with the Republican Party. And the Republican Party here where I live in Monroe County is filled with a bunch of great people. Okay. Say what you will about leadership or whatever. I don't have any issues with anybody. You know, some people have issues with directions and stuff like that, that certain individuals that are within the party might prefer, right? But it all boils back down to values. Are our values being held up? You know, again, family, faith, financial. Here's an important one, right? Because we don't really talk about this a lot. I shouldn't say financial. I should say fiscal responsibility, right? Especially with the government when it comes to the government spending our money, because you can spend your money better than the government can spend your money, but they spend it on frivolous stuff. Look, they just keep sending money all to all the other countries around the world when we got people starving out here. You know, we got people freezing to death in the streets above. You know, we got people freezing to death all over the country. We've got so many homeless, it's ridiculous. So at what point do we address that, right? We also have all types of other issues. You know, the concept of conservatism is mostly small government. And this big government and this continued expanse of governmental powers on the state level is absolutely ridiculous. I believe it definitely violates the 9th Amendment, which is the, what do you call it? The enumeration clause, which basically says that the government is not able to make laws that restrict any other rights that are given in the Constitution. Well, every time they take away rights that pertain to the Second Amendment, they're doing that. That's called treason if you're breaking laws in the Constitution. Okay, so are these people that are in the state Senate or state assembly that are just going along with Kathy Hochul and her obscene power grab concerned about the Constitution? I mean, everybody took an oath in the state assembly and state Senate to uphold the Constitution. Kathy Hochul took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Is that happening? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you can love her or you could hate her. You cannot say that she is not chipping away at the Second Amendment whether you like it or not, right? Like, because you might be listening to me right now, you might be thinking, I don't think anybody should have a gun. That's fair. That's fair. That's your specific personal feeling. You are entitled to your opinion, okay? And I will fight for you and your right to keep your rights and your personal entitlements to those rights as much as I would fight for my own. But the second that you start saying that because you feel a certain way or you think a certain way, that it's okay for you to force that on other people when it goes against the Constitution, which is the laws that our country is founded on, I tell you to go to get the hell out of the dang country. You can go to anywhere else in the world. If you don't like it here and you don't like the Constitution, get out. Get out. We don't even need to have a conversation. Get the F out. You understand what I'm saying? Give up your citizenship. Give it to one of these millions of illegal immigrants that have gone through God knows what to get to America to try to share in the shine of our Constitution. You understand what I'm saying? Like, people send their children here alone, knowing that they'll be raped, abused, and possibly sold into slavery just so that they could have a potential chance. A potential chance. Not even 100% chance, right? But a potential chance at a better life. And you hate our Constitution. Get out. Just leave. They'll take your citizenship. They're chomping at the bit for their own citizenship. They'll definitely take yours, and I'd prefer that we give it to them than you keep it if you have an issue with our Constitution and the rights, especially the Second Amendment or the First Amendment, which people keep chipping away at the First Amendment. You say something, you can't say that. Oh, you got to guard your mouth when you say something. You can't say that. Oh, it's all PC. Everything's PC now. You can't say that. We'll blacklist you, or we'll deplatform you, or we'll tell you this, or we'll tell you that. I mean, it's out of control. If you guys are listening and you can hear me now, just give me a little thumbs up or say I can hear you. I should be able to see your chat. Let me know. So here's the deal. When it comes to people being deplatformed, it's out of control. Okay, they just knock anybody offline if they feel like you said something possibly that they don't like. You know, I've been in trouble on Facebook for innocuous stuff that is then later repealed. One time I was banned from Facebook, and get this, for this guy. His name is what's his name on there? The Life of Pablo. And you can still go look this video up. It's still on his page. On The Life of Pablo, you remember there was big controversy about the gas prices and stuff before the last past election session, you know, because gas out of control. It's still out of control. You know, you go try to put some gas in your tank, $30, you're lucky to get a half a tank. Lucky to get a half a tank. Don't have a big tank because you ain't getting even that. Now, when they deplatform people, they deplatformed me one time. They let me back in eventually, but they put me under suspension for sharing this guy. His name is the Life of Pablo. He's a comedian. He's pretty funny. Him and his wife do stuff together, but him and his cousin do stuff more often. Him and his cousin had something together, and they made it like they were bagging up gasoline in their kitchen to sell it, like it was kind of like it was drugs or something, right? And they said it is very clearly not drugs, right? It's gasoline. They've got a gas can there, and they're putting the gas, pouring it. It's liquid, right? They're pouring it in bags, and as if they're going to sell it because gas is so high, right? They said, we need to get in on the game. My comment was, oh, this is the way our government is doing us. And they kicked me off of Facebook. I didn't say anything wrong. Guess what? The only thing that I said was, this is the way our government is doing us. But the really concerning part was the video stayed up on the original person's page. I just shared it. I didn't download it and post it on my page. I just shared it from their page. It's still on their page right now. They never got knocked off for it. You understand what I'm saying? I know many people out there have experienced the same thing that I've experienced. And it's really a slight against the First Amendment. But people are letting it happen. And this goes back, and I'm going to tie this back into conservative values, right? Like I said earlier, I have a lot of Democrat friends because, like, city is predominantly Democrat. But they have more conservative values because most of them are black. Just so happens I happen to be black, live in a black neighborhood, and I happen to go to black schools. You know what I'm saying? Like, so who else would my friends be? You know, and I joke, but in my city, like I'm talking about physically in the city. Don't feel hurt if I'm not talking about my friends in the suburbs, okay, or other cities. You know, I'm just talking specifically here. So here was what we got going on. I've got a lot of friends, like I said, that are Democrats with conservative values. I got a lot of friends in the conservative party that have conservative values. I got a lot of friends that are Republicans that have conservative values. Even though there are some Republicans that don't necessarily have conservative values, and I question their value sets, because you can't really be a Republican without having conservative values. That's what we call a rhino. Like, you don't have to carry them all, but you got to carry most of them, and you got to be on top of it. But going back to how I have friends that are Democrats that are conservative, it just shows you that it's based on how you were raised, right? So most of us were raised in the church. My generation, my ethnicity, were raised in the church, and we have those type of values. Plus, we still had grandmas, right? Grandmas, grandpas, stuff like that, older aunties, stuff like that. A lot of us had, you know. So we had more people to actually say, hey, this is the way things should be done, and show us how they did things. Not that it was necessarily always right and stuff like that, but there was a little bit more guidance. Now there's none. People from my generation are now all of a sudden they're popping out kids left and right, and it's crazy. And they're in the club shaking a tail feather, wearing skimpier stuff than you'd see at a Victoria's Secret's bikini show. And they got 3, 4, 5 kids. What the hell are you doing? What is a mother? Right? Like, that should be a documentary. I should do a documentary on that. Call it What is a Mother? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're shaking your ass out there at the club and stuff, okay, or you're sharing drugs with your kids, is that a mother? Is that what we're considering maternal skills? Is that what the level is right now? I turn on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. You see some mom twerking and stuff with her little 3-year-old kids. Are you outside your mind? Is this what has become of our society? And I ask, like I said, I got many conservative friends across the spectrum of politics. So why aren't you standing up for our values? You know, why aren't you standing up for morals? Why aren't you standing up for general decency? Right? Like, the children and the youth see all of this craziness and they're like, oh, it's okay. Like, they're out there telling you now that you don't have to be a boy if you're born a boy, and you don't have to be a girl if you're born a girl. The fuck? Excuse my language. Right? Like, what the hell? What the hell? How? How are you going to tell somebody that? And where are all the people, Democrats especially Democrats? Where are the Democrats speaking up against the insanity? Nobody will speak up against this insanity. And the question is, why? Because they're scared. This goes for Republicans too, right? A lot of them are scared of what the people at their job will think about them, what their friends will say. Will they get kicked off the internet? Stuff like that. Fuck that. Okay? You need to stand up for your values. If you don't stand up for your values, they will be erased. As we can see right now, they are erasing all of the traditional values that our country was founded on. They're trying to rewrite the Constitution. They're giving the federal government more powers than they're supposed to have. You understand what I'm saying? And nobody's standing up. We got this problem with this governor that we have right now. She swears she's the high priestess. She swears she's anointed by the Lord. The Lord told her that everybody should get those cocktails and put them in their body, whether they want to or not. Cite it to me in scripture. Don't let me get my Martin Luther on. Don't make me go staple some theses to your daggone governor mansion door, because you're out of control. You're out of control. State the scripture where it says that. He told you what? Don't say that nowhere. You couldn't even attribute any of that to the Lord. In the Bible, all throughout the Bible, all of our leaders in the Bible, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, everybody, pick one. They go out and they preach to people, lepers, everything. Lepers, highly contagious. And the concept of Christianity is, or I should say specifically, Catholicism is better at this than more of the, I guess you call it, what are they called? I think they're Protestant type religions, right? But forgive me if I'm wrong. You know, Christianity is all secked up and chopped up into all different types of things. But they make it a fashion show to come in. But the concept under Catholicism, under regular Christianity, under Jesus, is that come as you are, right? We take all kinds, no matter where you're from, no matter how you feel, right? Okay? No matter what your ailments are, okay? But Kathy Hochul says that the Lord told her to force that you should be forced to put this stuff in your body. That's extremely concerning. That nobody, not what she said, that nobody in her party wants to stand up against that, right? Like, that's out of control. Like you said, that God told you that in a church? Like, I was surprised that lightning didn't come out of anywhere and just, you know, of course that doesn't happen, but Lord knows that many of us wish that did happen to some of these type of people that just say crazy out the wall stuff. But more than that, nobody challenged her. Like, that was okay what she said. Then she had the nerve to have a necklace on that says vaxxed. What the hell? Come on, man. And people are going along with this like this is normal, like this is okay. And now we become so tribal on whether you believe in the cocktail or you don't believe in the cocktail or whatever the case is. I mean, like, it's so ridiculous, right? Like, point blank, period. It should not be forced, period. I don't care how you feel about it. Okay. That's how it should be, period. But none of these conservative Democrats that are all my friends wanted to be public and say anything about it publicly. You know what I'm saying? Why? Fucking why? Okay? They just, in our city, we got this guy, his name's Mendoza. He's the head of the health department. No. Forced vax passes and all types of stuff. So you couldn't go out your house and you couldn't actually go participate in the world, right? So again, this goes back to, it doesn't matter how you feel about one thing or another, it goes against violations of the Constitution. And they came out and they were like, fuck your rights, fuck your freedoms, fuck your liberties. These are quotes. Like, I can't make this stuff up. But people with more conservative values, with more church values, with more stuff like that, refuse to stand up and say anything. I see all these churches and I still have hard feelings against these churches. You understand what I'm saying? That just kowtow to the government, just completely disrespecting our religion. Y'all fake, y'all phony. I said what I said. No offense, plenty of offense. Okay? Because where were you to stand up and defend us like you were supposed to do because of our religion, the way that scripture says? Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But back to the conservative values, right? Why don't more people speak up on conservative values, right? It's important that we do speak up on our values. If we don't speak up on our values, nobody else will. That's why you guys know with me, I always say, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up, because I very firmly believe that that's what needs to be done if we're going to encourage more people to also stand up. We need more people to stand up. Our values as a nation are being shredded on a daily basis. If you believe in family, that's a conservative value. If you believe the government should stay out your damn business, that's a conservative value. If you believe that you should pay the government as little as freaking possible, that's a conservative value. You understand what I'm saying? If you believe that you should work and help in your community and pitch in and be a productive member of society, that's a conservative value. If you believe in safety and security in your community, again, that's a conservative value. Okay? Now, if you share those values, does that mean that you have to be in the conservative party or you have to be a Republican? No, it doesn't. But if you share all of those values, you definitely probably should be. You're definitely probably in the wrong party. Okay? This is something also that's concerning about me. That concerns me, you know. People do not, that are in the Republican Party, do not stand up and vocalize what our values are. And it's a shame because people don't understand what our values are. If they don't understand what our values are, they're going to put on us whatever they think our values are or have been told. But we won't be able to get out of that until we start standing up more. You know, and let's slide over into some news. But before I slide into the news, I'd like to encourage you all, if you are registered, no matter what party it is, and you have conservative values that are faith, family, freedom, and, you know, community, financial responsibility, those are conservative values. I'm gonna need you to go get on your local committee. If you are a Democrat, Republican, or a conservative, I need you to go get on your local committee because I need you to bring some sense to the area that you're in. Because right now, I don't see the Democrats. My city is democratically run. It's all Democrats, has been for 50 years. We've got multiple people who should be conservative on city council, but make me ask questions. You know, we got multiple people in the county ledge that should be conservative, but when a conservative issue comes up, they won't say anything against the other Democrats, even though they're faith-based people, you know, their family grew up in church, they're in church, you know, they have a church that they run, you know, stuff like this. And you're like, well, where the hell, you know? But if you are concerned about the direction our nation is going and you are registered Republican, go find out what your local committee is. Go join that. If you have conservative values and you are a Democrat, go join your local committee. Okay. Find out where that is. If you are conservative and you've got a conservative party there and you're a conservative member in a conservative party, go join that committee. If you're in another state and you're listening to me and you've got multiple parties, like for instance, maybe let's say you're a libertarian, right? And you got conservative and you're a conservative libertarian, go join your local libertarian committee. Okay? We need more people that will be willing to speak up and espouse our conservative values. Conservatism goes all the way across the political spectrum. Okay? Conservatives of America unite. Okay? For real. Unite. We need to be standing up and standing firm in our values. You know, and we should not allow anybody to be deplatformed. We should not allow anybody's rights to be infringed upon. You know, speaking of which, moving towards the news, we got apparently on the topic specifically, right, of deplatforming people, Trump's coming back. Yeah. Donald Trump's coming back to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You know, so that's interesting. So he'll be back. He got banned for allegedly saying something that was inciting people, but there's nothing in his tweets or there's nothing in his posts that would lead you to believe that. You can feel how you want about the man. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. You can not like him. You can love him. I don't care. But the fact of the matter is that they deplatformed a sitting president a sitting president. You are not a sitting, nothing near the level of a president. What'd they do to you? Look at how they did a large number of us. Okay. And I'm not just talking like Republicans or conservatives. I'm talking Democrats too, right? Like Facebook has been malicious, very malicious against people. Okay. So it's a serious issue. It is a very, very, very serious issue. And it's interesting to see Trump's coming back to the platforms, at least whether he wants to or not, at least still have his accounts opened in the coming weeks, which is interesting that it took this long, right? Because even if you hate him, right, he never posted anything crazy enough to get a permanent suspension. So that was nothing but coordination by the FBI and other alphabet agencies to get it, to make it so his voice is no longer heard, so that he and his free speech have been taken away. And you'll say, oh, well, it's a private company. But I see y'all same people that is bitching about that mad at Elon, right? Mad at Elon for having some free speech, some little bit of free speech over on Twitter. And you're mad at him. Oh, well, nobody cares about you. No, nobody gives a bloop. You understand what I'm saying? Because the fact of the matter is, when people nowadays believe that they're so right and everybody else is so wrong, they're not able to see anything else. And that's a serious, serious issue. Serious, serious issue. They're blinded. A lot of people have what I call Trump blindness. So and deafness, Trump deafness as well. Whenever you say something about Trump or see Trump, people automatically tune it out, right? Because they don't want to hear anything possibly that could possibly be saying something that's not mean about Trump. If you're not talking mean about Trump, they're mad at you. Come on now. What are you, like 1? And I'm under exaggerating, right? I mean, like, what are you, like 3? Because you're acting like a baby, infant. Do I need to get you some Infamil? Something wrong with you? Let me go get you some. What's the thing with the little bear? The drink that you drink when you're not feeling well. For the little kids. Whatever it is, y'all know what I'm talking about, parents. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about because it's still around and it's still popular. Anyway, but that's interesting to see that that's happening, because I'm glad that they're bringing him back, because I was upset when they took him away, not because I like him or dislike him or whatever the case, my personal feelings about him. Okay, but because, one, if he's the president and he didn't really say anything out of line and they deplatformed him, what will they do to me? Oh, I've seen what they've done to me. You know what I'm saying? So what would they do to you? So this shows an abuse of power. We've seen how all of a sudden now we're finding out that the FBI and other alphabet agencies have backdoors with these agencies like Meta, which is Facebook, and Instagram and Twitter. So how much more so the other ones? But it's so frustrating to me that people see something happen to somebody that they assume they don't like and they let it go. They let it go. But if it happened to them, they'd be up in arms. That's why I tell you, I'd fight for your rights as much as I'd fight for my own, because that's out of control. We've got now, we talked briefly about the cocktails, they put inside you and stuff like that. Day before yesterday, really. This doctor dude, he died. I knew this dude too, so it's kind of crazy, right? Like, he died here in Rochester. What was he? Ortho something. I feel like he did bones something, right? Like something with bones or something, I think. Don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people and I can't remember everybody's specific job. All I know is he's a doctor. But he died suddenly. We're getting a lot of die suddenlies, right? And they're like, oh, well, it's from eggs. Eggs? It's from eggs? People are eating eggs and it's causing all these people to suddenly die. Out of control. You know, you see, and it's crazy, right? Oh, climate change is making people suddenly die. What? What? Not by what stretch of an imagination does it take you to believe that climate change is causing people to die suddenly? You know, and all types of other numbers of crazy things that they've said are the cause of people dying suddenly, except the the things, the cocktails, you know. But now all of a sudden the FDA is like, oh, 65 and older, we're going to study why people are having strokes, but just forget about the 35 and less crowd, who we know it causes myocarditis, strokes, brain inflammation, and all these other things, issues with the blood-brain barrier and the blood. It's not important. Even though those are the majority of the people dropping dead, especially healthy athletes. So it seems that if you are very much more so active and you've got all of those, the things, you're very much more so to die. You know, and it's not everybody. I'm sure it has other factors, genetics, or the fact that I'm sure that they gave placebos to a set number of people, or even maybe more than a set number of people. Because the question is how much of it is an experiment versus how much of it is profit. And if a large amount of it was profit, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them putting a whole bunch of saline in a whole bunch of jars and sending it out and making buku dollars, because why not? Because that's how the medical industrial complex runs in our nation. Interestingly enough, in other news, right, the FAA has removed the heart risk issue probability with, get this, with its pilots, right? So if your pilot has heart problems, they can stay and still be a pilot. Now, this is unrelated to the cocktails, right? But this is just lowering standards of safety, right? Because if you're lowering the standards for the health quality of the pilots, and people are just dropping dead like flies, I'm just waiting for the first pilot to crash the whole plane and see what they call it then. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll try to write it off and call it something else that it's not, or whatever the case is, because that's how they operate. They refuse to try to take responsibility, but there has been some headways in cases against them as far as being private companies, the people who are distributing these cocktails. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys heard about DeSantis, and this goes back into the conservative values portion. So there was what do you call it? So in school, right? Black History Month is coming up in a couple days here. In school, you get some Black history, right? The concept when I was little is the concept when I was little is that elders wanted there to be more better representation of Blacks in history in college, in school, in high school, in elementary school, in college, and everything, right? But what did we get? Critical race theory, which doesn't say anything positive about Black people. It says that the white people are the oppressor and that the Black people are the oppressed, and overthrow the oppressor and stuff like that, and feel bad for your whiteness. And if you're Black and I'm white, I should feel sorry for you, and I should kiss your feet, and all types of other dumb shit. Excuse my language. It just really gets frustrating to me, because I don't believe that any of this stuff should be facilitated in schools. It's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. And it all goes back into this whole thing that they've got with the what did they call it? African American studies, right? First of all, I almost cursed here. Look at me catch myself. I'm working on it, you guys. You guys know I curse. It's nothing new here. But it's upsetting because they called it African American Studies. You see what I look like? Very clearly, I'm Black. Now, what do I mean by Black? When I say Black, I mean Black American. Okay. I also sometimes include, depending on what I'm talking about, I include Latinos in that category, but that's a whole separate conversation. Okay. So Black American, Black of native origin, right? Of American origin, which is the majority of Black Americans are, okay, American Indian, which is a whole separate conversation for a whole separate video. But that is a fact, period. If you actually read the history of our nation that the victors, right, have written, you can easily see that. Also, if you study basic economics, you would understand that that's what happened if you know the time period and what was going on in the time period. But when it comes to that, you also have this newer concept, right? And I guess really it started with Marcus Garvey very heavily, and that was a problem. Um, the Pan African movement and nonsense like that. Okay, Marcus Garvey, who's Jamaican, not even American, right? Well, I mean, if you consider the Caribbean America, right? But I mean, when I say American, I mean United States of America, because I'm American, that's how we talk. Um, so Marcus Garvey, Jamaican dude from Jamaica, not from the US, never been to Africa, right? Died in England. Telling people in America that look like me to go back to Africa. We're not even from Africa. You never been to Africa. You don't even know what Africa looks like. You gonna tell us that we should go back to Africa because the Pan-African movement? That ain't nothing but freaking. When somebody says go back to Africa, what do we generally associate that with? Racism, right? Okay, I just wanted to put that out there. Okay. So who was really he working for and who was really bankrolling him? I know a lot of people gonna feel some type of way, but I said what I said. Okay. If you're a Marcus, you got to represent Marcus as well. And that was a bad look. Hashtag Booker T. Washington is the dude. Okay. All these other people that try to popularize this narrative that we're from Africa are either ignorant of the fact that we're not, or they're pushing a false narrative on us that is disenfranchising our people and our claim to the land in which we live and have historically lived. But that's neither here nor there. I say all of that to say this. If you tell a Jamaican that they're Black, most of them will get highly offended. And this is the same for most Caribbean island people or Africans even. You call them Black, most of them will, those are basically fighting words, right? Because they imply American Black. You understand? Only in America are you called Black. Nowhere else in the world does that terminology exist. So they associate Black with being Black American. And they don't like that because they think less of us in these countries. Okay. They think less of Black Americans in these countries. And it's a very serious problem, But the fact of the matter is they don't associate that with themselves. So going back to the term African American, I'm only American. Only American. You understand what I'm saying? I am not, and none about me African. I don't know nothing about an Africa. My people ain't from Africa. Okay. Unless you're talking about the origin of humanity, which we kind of have a cohesive agreement that the origin of general humanoids is Africa, right? But I mean, if we go back to Sumerian and texts like that and Egyptian and texts like that, it kind of shows that, yes, the modern human life did kind of start there. But again, I'm not African American. Don't call me that shit. I get very offended by that. However, a lot of Blacks in America think they're African American when ain't nothing about them African American. Okay. Elon Musk, African American. Well, how is Elon Musk African American? He's not Black. Shit, Kamala Harris ain't got no American in her, and she's African American apparently. Her mom from India and her dad from Jamaica. Come on now. Ain't nothing about that African American, what we would consider to be African American or black. Come on. Come off it. Not at all. So this is the ambiguation and the erasure of our cultural and social independence as an ethnic group. Our history has been stolen from us. But I digress, right? I go back to say all of this to say a lot of Black Americans associate the term African American with themselves as a representation of themselves. So Black history is already taught in Florida schools. Now they want to come out with this course called African American Studies, and I got to pull up this list of stuff that's actually in the curriculum, and it'll blow your mind, right? You'll be like, that doesn't have anything to do with what you would consider to be Black history. That doesn't have anything to do with it at all. I know that, but these people on the internet are making a kerfuffle about, oh, DeSantis just wants to get rid of Black and things like that, and blah 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 blah, whatever. Seriously? Do you even know what's going on in Florida? Do you even know why they're getting rid of that? Did you even look into it? Let me read you some of the issues of what was found in this course, right? Okay. And you tell me if you believe that this has anything to do with Black people or not. You can tell me in the comments. I don't know. Can we see comments on here? Have we figured out how to chat on here? Just shoot me a thumbs up or something if you are on here watching right now, so I can see if these comments are working for me to be able to see them. So let me read this to you. Topic 4.15, intersectionality and activism. Stop it. What the hell does intersectionality have to do with Black people and Black shit? You understand what I'm saying? Intersectionality is some new bullshit they done brought up over the last couple of years that's from some liberal, neo-Marxist nonsense that they're trying to force upon our people. We don't want none. Take it and shove it up your ass. Okay? That's one of the issues of why the African American Studies bullshit in its name itself has been pulled away from in Florida. Here's another one. Black queer studies. Fuck you. Period. That's how I feel on that one. Black queer studies? Seriously? I don't care whether you're Black, brown, or purple. Unless you've become all the way liberalized, even if you're a Black gay person. All right, I see you there, Wendy. Thank you very much. Even if you are a Black gay person, most Black gay people, unless they're extremely uber liberal, okay, or uber Marxist, okay, don't feel like that would be something that should be in there. Period. Because it doesn't represent us, right? The fuck? Excuse my language. And matter of fact, you don't even have to excuse my language because I said what I meant. There may be, and there will most likely be some more curses because I really feel some type of way like somebody needs the shit slapped out of them over this nonsense that they keep trying to force on me. Okay? And on my people. You understand what I'm saying? Let's continue. Let's move forward. What else is on there on the African American Studies course? Movements for Black lives. Bullshit. Okay? Best case scenario, current events. Okay? Best case scenario, current events. Okay? However, that ain't got nothing to do with Black history, and that is a neo-Marxist movement pushed and perpetuated and funded by white liberals and white Marxists. Are you serious outside your mind? Like that stuff is supposed to represent me? Okay, y'all burned out all the black areas, all the black neighborhoods, all these riots and stuff. You burned all the black everything. You were just in Atlanta 3 days ago, right? Today's what, Wednesday? This happened what, Saturday? Okay, a whole bunch of white liberals, neo-Marxists, Antifa ass people come down and start destroying everything in Atlanta, talking about, oh, they're allies. You ain't no ally of nothing. You an ally of the damn devil. You want to destroy some shit, take that in your white neighborhoods, but they ain't gonna go for that there. Plus, you won't be able to go home and sleep nicely, but you can come destroy the black neighborhoods. Unacceptable. Because you know if you did that out there, you would be hemmed the heck up real quick. Real quick. So that wouldn't go down like that. Unacceptable. 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 And they keep forcing this stuff on us. And matter of fact, I'm going to try to pull up this quote by Malcolm X while I'm on it, because it's so frustrating to see this. And Malcolm X warned us about white liberals to begin with, you know, and I'm going to read one of his quotes on white liberals right now, because it's just outrageous. And I really feel like you guys have to kind of have more of an understanding on why it's a problem. So here's one of Malcolm X's quotes on white liberals. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in the way that the white liberal is more deceitful than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. That's a fact. But none of their policies benefit us. As a matter of fact, all the liberal policies hurt black people. Let me give you another quote by Malcolm X on white liberals. Let me see. Here we go. The government itself has failed us. Fact. And the white liberals who have been posing as our friends have failed us. Fact. Because they never meant to serve us to begin with. White liberalism is only about moral superiority. We saw that with the shots, right? With those cocktails that they made to force in the people, right? The only reason why they did that was because they felt like they were morally superior. Because again, it should not be forced. Okay? It should be a choice. But I digress. Let's go on to the next thing that's an issue here. Reading this out loud just makes me more frustrated. Black feminism and literary thought. What? First of all, we know that the majority of the feminist movement in America was spurred by the Marxists. Again, more bullshit, more liberal bullshit, fucking lies. Okay? And people just go along with it. Okay? It's a very, very, very serious issue. Hold on one second. I got a question here in the comments. Let me read this. Do you think that an AP class on Black history in particular is a good idea? Or do you think it ducks the issue of making sure the AP American history is more thorough? That's a good question. Okay. So first off, I'd like to identify the fact that in New York State, they are getting rid of AP courses because they're saying that Black people aren't able to perform in AP courses, and it's unfair and it's discriminatory for there to be AP classes because Black people can't get right. As somebody who graduated and took as many AP courses as possible, that is absolutely abhorrently deceitful and outrageous. I can't even. But to go to the nitty gritty of the question that was asked, history in school should be more thorough as far as Black contributions to our country. You know, you're lucky nowadays if you learn about George Washington Carver. If you know George Washington Carver, he's a peanut dude. This dude made everything out of peanuts, but it wasn't even just peanuts, right? But you wouldn't know that because they don't teach about that like that. You know, you got Ernest Just, you got Garrett Morgan, you know, traffic light, this, that, first open heart surgery, all of these things that they can be teaching about Black excellence, you know. But they don't. They don't. They kind of skim. We get a little bit of coverage in February, but it's honestly not that much coverage. Honestly, it's not enough. It's like the elders said when I was little, we want better representation in history in the schools. Plus, everybody doesn't get a chance to take AP courses. Even if everybody could take AP courses, there's just not enough classes in and of themselves. And everybody doesn't end up going to college. So so it should be directly in school in history. That's a very, very serious thing. But what they do like to cover is slavery and how we are the weak man of America, basically, which is the most insulting thing, when we are the strongest of people. But let me see. There's a couple more comments here. Hold on. Let me see. Give you a reference about what, Wendy, or did I already actually give you a reference? Just hit me in there. So let's move on to the next thing in that list, because I'm still not done. We're still going into the list, right? Like any one of these things individually would be more than enough to pull that course, as far as I'm concerned. Next one, the reparations movement. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's not a thing at all. Okay, because I can guarantee you that they're not talking about originally right after the Civil War, where Republicans were pushing for reparations for Black people. Yes, Republicans were pushing for reparations for Black people right after the Civil War. That is a thing. That is a well-known thing, right? We had the general Tecumseh Sherman, right? I think it's Sherman. 40 acres and a mule. Yep, I'm pretty sure that was Sherman. Let me ask Google. Who said 40 acres and a mule? I'm pretty sure that's Sherman. Yep. Not Tecumseh. Oh, it is Tecumseh. Yeah, see? I'm right. Sherman. Yep. Hell yeah. Look at me. I'm fantastic. All right. I know what I'm talking about. But yeah. Wendy says wanting to cancel AP courses. Give you a reference. I can't give you a reference because it's something that they're working on doing. So I don't know how to give you a reference on that specifically. I'd say if you are more interested, you should talk to some of the teachers or administrators and really follow what the state assembly and state senate is doing and what they've got going on and what they say out of their mouth. That's very important. Yeah. So Tecumseh Sherman said they were going to give us 40 acres and a mule, and we never got it. But I'm going to tell you probably the reason why we never got it. Because after the Civil War, we had more Blacks in Congress than we do now. You know how the Democrats love to lord diversity? You're like, oh, we're so diverse. We're so diverse in the Democratic Party. No, you're not, because everybody thinks the same. And when you try to stand up and say, hey, I think this way, and it's a little different than what you think, immediately shot down. Immediately shot down. But it's so frustrating, because right after the Civil War, there were more Blacks in Congress than there are now. Okay. What were they? What party affiliation were they? They were Republicans, because they have conservative values. Okay. Family first, last, and always, isn't it? You understand what I'm saying? Tell the government stay out your business, isn't it? Okay. Tell the government not to tax you to death, isn't it? Okay. So then white people didn't like that. Let me be very specific. It wasn't white people. It was white Democrats. You know, the founders of the KKK, white Democrats. You know, the party of Andrew Jackson, who separated from the Democratic Republican Party, because that was the original party, was Democratic Republican Party. He separated the Democrats from the Republicans just because he wanted to keep slaves. And all of the Democrats that went with him wanted to keep slaves. The Democrat Party was founded to keep slavery going. And to this day, they have continued to keep slavery going. Mass incarceration, largely on the head of Democrats. Okay. But not just that, the policies that keep blacks on the modern day plantation of thought. Okay. That keep blacks on the tip of government. You understand what I'm saying? Reliant on government. Don't be self-reliant. Oh my God, that's a Republican or a conservative thing. You can't be self-reliant. You can't build your own in this world. You got to rely on the government, because if you don't rely on us, oh my God, you might actually be able to stand up for yourself. Think for yourself next after that. Oh my God, we can't have you thinking for yourself. You can't think for yourself. So frustrating. So after we had all these black people in Congress after the Civil War, they did what was called the Reconstruction. And you should look this up while you still can, while there are still books. You can still find this information on the internet. The Reconstruction. During the Reconstruction, the Democrats, again, here we go with this bullshit. The Democrats pushed all of the black Republicans out of Congress. Yeah. The Democrats, because of the Reconstruction Act, pushed all of the black Republicans out of office illegally, unjustifiably, again, okay, unconstitutionally, out of office, and there haven't been, to this day, as many blacks in Congress. Tell me about diversity again, okay? And I could go on, but I don't want to belabor the point because I'm talking specifically about, oh, wait, I'm talking about black history. Oh, wait, these are real things that affected black people in history. But because it's the Democrats who now associate with the liberals who are now creating and crafting the narrative that black people are supposed to eat up, you can't talk about that. But let's go forward. Okay. The last one that they've got on this list is Black Studies and the Black Struggle in the 21st century. I'm going to read this. Included reading, Robert D. Kelly argues that activism rather than the university system is the catalyst for social transformation. First of all, I don't understand how that has anything to do with what you're saying is the topic, but okay. It's very upsetting. I'm modulating my feelings on this, okay, because I don't emote and have feelings like that very much, but this is giving me a feeling. Okay, it continues on. Kelly's first book was a study of black communities Kelly's first book was a study of black communists in Alabama. See, here we go with this communist neo-Marxist bullshit. Okay, communism, socialism, all of that you see goes back to Marxism that's being pushed in this country. Kelly warns that simply establishing safe spaces and renaming campus buildings does nothing to overthrow capitalism. And why would I want to overthrow capitalism? Right? Capitalism worked fine for black people. Okay? Fine. Absolutely fine for black people. Remember Black Wall Street? Oh, well, they burnt that down. They blew that up. You know who did that? Democrats. Fucking Democrats. And these like, I'm not saying anything like against the Democratic Party. These are things that you can look up. Like, this is not hidden information. Like, those were all Democrats that did this. You understand what I'm saying? Lord have mercy. But Black Wall Street seemed to work out pretty good for us up until desegregation. Okay. Capitalism seemed to work fine for us when we had all our own stuff. Okay. Desegregation was once said to me by some old guy. He said, that lived through desegregation. He said, desegregation was the worst thing that ever happened to the black people, because back before black desegregation, we had our own doctors, we had our own schools, we had our own hospitals, we taught our own people, we took care of our own people, all of that. And now we have nothing. We don't even own the stuff in our own neighborhoods. I'm looking for the lie in what he said. And at that point in life, like I was a little bit younger, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, like that goes against everything I was taught. Let me sit with that for 5 seconds and analyze that rationally, you know, because me being an independent, free thinking Black person, oh boy, can't have that. But anyway, it's really real. So these are the things that are included in this course. That is the reason why, got rid of DeSantis, pushed to get rid of it and ban it from schools. Because that's crazy. Did y'all just hear what I read? And all these other people out here, oh, well, he's showing that he's racist. He's showing this and that. Excuse me. No, y'all showing that y'all racist. Y'all showing that y'all want to indoctrinate my people with your Marxist, neoliberal, nonsensical, anti-American, anti-Black policies and thought processes. We could go into how Marx and Lenin were devout racists. Like they did not like Black people. Okay, we can go into that. We can go into how when socialism / communism has been implemented in any country, okay, it is always extremely racist, and Black people always get the least and bear the brunt of the burden of all the pain. So let's just move on just a little, because we got a couple more things that I want to cover before I get out of here. We're hitting here at an hour, and I'm about to try to hop into bed. I got to wake up early. I got some meetings I got to attend early. So let's see. Where are my notes? Got to keep some notes. Okay. Elevated rate of facial paralysis identified as a possible effect in the cocktail. Okay. The cocktail. And this is coming from the FDA, right? Like, I don't even want to say it out loud, even though it's something that the FDA published, because Facebook still might try to deplatform me, right? Because fuck Facebook and Meta when they do stuff like that. No offense to the good people that are working there, but completely offense to all of the terrible people that are working there. Y'all need to fix yourself, okay? Y'all need to find Jesus, or find Muhammad, find fucking somebody that's better than whoever the nonsensical demon that you worship is this week, okay? Marx was just crazy. You did that? No, I wouldn't say Marx is crazy, but I'll come back. I'll try to circle back with you on that in a couple seconds here, Wendy. So I don't know if you guys know Governor Newsom, who is the new pretty boy and the love of the Democratic Party, right? Like, he looks like he's going to be their possible nominee, and I hope he chokes on his own tongue. That is a horrible, horrible monster of a human being. Okay, horrible monster. He got paralysis. He got that palsy nonsense and he disappeared for a few weeks. And people were like, oh, his face is all jacked up and he's all, and he can't do anything with part of his face is frozen, stuff like that. And I snicker a little bit because he forced all that stuff on everybody in California. He made people's lives a living nightmare, and it caused him a serious health condition. But he was able to get it fixed and come back out. Unlike Justin Bieber, whose face is just, oh. I can't even make the face that his face is now. Okay, but Justin Bieber is all jacked up, okay, with his palsy because of the things. And it's not just him, right? It's other people too. And now the FDA is coming out and they're saying that it's causes it has an increased likelihood of facial paralysis in elderly. What? Increased likelihood of what does that even mean? People aren't just going around having facial paralysis. That just doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. People don't just get facial paralysis, and they try to make it seem like, oh, well, it's just an elevated likelihood. What does that even mean? I've never in life just seen somebody one day wake up that didn't have something happen to them, right? That's usually a stroke. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, anyway, poocha. let's go. Let's go. What else we got before I get out of here? Before I say too much and Facebook feels some type of way. And I'm gonna get back to you, Wendy. I did not forget you. Oh, there was something else that I wanted to cover. What was it? Oh, McCarthy. McCarthy's over there in the House of Representatives right now, and he's actually doing something positive. I got to give him credit where credit's due. He's doing all right as of right now. You know, he's not my top draft pick, but he's doing all right now. Let's hope he keeps on going in a positive direction and he does better. I felt like I needed to give him his kudos on that. Okay. So this is gonna be the last thing, and I'm gonna take off. But I don't know if you guys saw the 50. I laugh before I even say it because that's how ridiculous it is. So there's a food plant. I want to say it was Missouri. Was it Missouri? I can't remember for sure 100%. It's out there in the Midwest. No, it was Nebraska. That's what it was. They're right next to each other. It was Nebraska. There's a meat plant out there. And I didn't forget about you, Wendy. And there is a cleaning company that they have a job there. And apparently there were possibly 50 youths that were working for the company to clean the slaughterhouse. It's funny because when you listen to the news tell it, the mainstream media tell it, they're like, oh my God, they've got all these kids working on cleaning a slaughterhouse. And the youngest was of the age of 13. Hold up, pause. I live in New York State, and we have really jacked up labor laws when it comes to ages, times, and minimum wage. And I live in New York State, and 13 years old is okay to work with parents' permission, okay? Depending on the school time, right? This is Nebraska. Now, I don't know about you, but I know me as a New Yorker, Nebraska ain't nothing but corn, okay? Ain't nothing out in Nebraska, okay? As far as we're concerned over here in New York, and legitimately most of the rest of the country couldn't even place Nebraska on a map. And that's not a slight at Nebraska. That's just me stating a fact, right? So I would imagine two things. One, that they're generally historically, not necessarily right now, because I honestly don't know, because it's freaking Nebraska. Who knows about Nebraska but somebody that's right by Nebraska, you know? So I'd reason to believe that they've traditionally been more conservative as far as values and stuff goes, which means that they might not have some of the what would you say, just the extra tags on the on labor for the teenagers, you know. But in 13, you can work in New York State. So this is the Midwest, right? This is farm country, right? So they have their kids out there working in the fields and the farms and stuff at like 4 or 5 years old with their parents. Like, that's their traditions. You understand what I'm saying? Like, who are you to tell them what their traditions are? Now, moving forward, it's interesting because what they said after that is, oh, they're concerned that these youths could have possibly been child trafficked. 50. First of all, I'd like to give them all a hand, because they're working for a company and they're getting money for their family, or I don't know, whoever, right? But the concept is that they're working to provide for themselves. Good on them. But the fact that they're saying, oh, well, maybe they've been probably child trafficked. Okay, I'll take that. I'm very adamantly against child trafficking, sex trafficking. All of that really bothers me. And child trafficking and sex trafficking really kind of go together. And it's really modern day slavery, just repackaged with new names, and I'm not with it for various reasons. But it's interesting, right? So they're like, oh, we think, and this is the mainstream media again, so we think that they could possibly, and they're investigating this, they could possibly be human trafficked. Okay. You don't want people to be human trafficked? mainstream media, how about you close the border? Close the border. Close the border. Close the border. How about you close the border? Close the border. Close the border. If you don't want people to be child trafficked and human trafficked, close the border. How about that start? Close the border. I mean, do I need to say it again? Close the daggone border. Honestly, me personally, seeing the serious issues in our nation with immigration, I believe that we need to find a way to actually process all of the illegal immigrants inside our nation and deport all of these visa holders that are here on visas that have expired, because those are the number one source for our illegal immigration before the border issue. And now it's still a very big problem, right? Because they never left to begin with. But close the border if you want to cut down on human trafficking. Very simple. Also, monitor China more closely because they be importing people in shipping containers. And we really, really need to talk about that and the triads, how they attacked a shipping company. Let me say that again. Testing, 1, 2, 3. You know those people that got shot up? The people that got shot up in California were at a mushroom farm and a shipping company, a trucking company. It kind of makes you wonder if that is a gang attack for the cartels, right? But China's version of the cartels is the triads. And I felt I needed to get really close to the microphone so you guys could hear me really good, because I felt like that really needed to be said. So with that needing to be said, I need to get ready to head off to bed. But before that, let me jump in here with Wendy. And I promised her I'd respond to her. Wendy, what did I say I would respond to you on? Was it Marx being crazy? Oh, yes, it was Marx being crazy. Okay, so no, I don't think that Marx was crazy. Okay, I think he was very sane. Maybe he borderlines that genius insanity type level, but he was very, very, very Rasputin-like, right? He was very, very Sigmund Freud-like, right? Like he was very good at manipulating people and getting done what he wanted to get done and pushing his agenda. So much that when he died, they deified him and they mummified him and put him in a tomb inside the what you call that building over in Russia, in Moscow. What's it called? The Kremlin, right? He's still there now, right? They deified this dude. They deified him. They turned him into a god after he died. So to shoot. He clearly wasn't that crazy because he achieved a lot, even though he's a piece of excrement. Now, you said he had sex with his own family members. I mean, that's sick for us as far as intents and purposes. But, I mean, it's more common back then. And I don't, well, let me phrase that. Let me very much so clarify that. Excuse me. While I wouldn't say it was necessarily more accepted, it was more accepted for you to marry your cousin and stuff like that. But is it okay and is it moral? And those are all other type of questions that I couldn't really cover specifically on somebody's personal views on the matter. But does that make him crazy? No, it doesn't. But it kind of more so leans towards him being a control freak, which he very much so was. So yeah, I'd say that. Let's see. Wendy says, hey, Josh, good to see you, brother. I'm about to hop off of here in a couple moments because we've been on here a while, but you can rewind the video after I end the stream. We had a good video tonight. We had a really good video tonight. Let me see what else you got, Wendy. Sorry about that. I'm not sorry, but you know what I mean. I didn't want to get away from there. Let's see. No, he let his kid die while he was writing. He didn't screw them. He screwed them over by not supporting them. Oh, I got you. I was gonna say, because you were saying something that I hadn't heard before. Sigmund Freud. Oh yes, yes he did. Whammy put the whammy jammy on his own siblings. You know, I mean family members and stuff. But that's a whole separate conversation. I appreciate you, Wendy. I appreciate you, Josh. I'm gonna catch you guys probably tomorrow. If you guys have any questions or want to just shoot me some support, just hey, do that because I love you all. You guys be blessed, be well, and I catch you later. And remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Get loud. Take peace.